If you have trouble making accurate measurements on your DIY projects, then keep watching because I'm going to break down how to accurately read a carpenter's measuring tape. Plus, if you stick around until the end, I'm going to expose some secret measuring hacks that I learned over the years working in theater construction. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. Welcome Nerd Herd, I'm Jessica, your friendly neighborhood woodshop nerd. With almost a decade of experience building theatrical sets, I have learned how to transfer these skills that I learned backstage into skills that I can use to upgrade my home. And now I'm here to equip women like you who are new to DIY with the tools to help you build anything and fix anything in your home. Welcome to the Woodshop Nerd. Let's get building. Now, before we dive in, grab my free DIY power tool and hand tool checklist over at thewoodshopnerd.com. It's your cheat sheet to starting strong. The link's in the description. So why focus on measuring tape first? Isn't this tool pretty self-explanatory? Well, it kind of sort of is, but it still doesn't stop all of us from making the same mistakes time and time again. If you've ever hung a picture frame that's crooked or cut a board that's too short or looked dazed and confused at all the little markings on your measuring tape, well, then you know just how demoralizing it can be when your measurements are inaccurate. I myself have shared this experience several times, my nerds. I am not immune. My first build was a floating laundry room shelf and it was beautiful. I had sanded it perfectly. I had stained it beautifully, but I had cut it too short for that final space and it didn't work. What a letdown. In our Tool Academy for Women series, we start with this tool specifically because it's the foundation for every great DIY project. Get the measurements right and you'll save money, you'll save time, and you'll save your ego. You get it wrong and it's enough to make you want to stop working on your projects altogether. Don't get it wrong. So today we're going to cover how to use a tape measure with precision to save your sanity. Plus, I'm going to share a few top secret measuring hacks inspired from my days building in the theater that are going to have you going, whew, why didn't I think of that before? All right, let's talk tools. Now, when it comes to tape measures, you have many options to choose from. Now, that can seem pretty daunting at first, but if we try to focus only on the essentials, then the choice becomes a pretty simple one to make. A 25-foot metal tape measure that is easy to read is great for precise layouts. This length is long enough to read measurements in most common household spaces like walls or in your kitchen, your living room, etc. You can get longer tape measures, but for beginner projects, you're probably not going to need anything in this range. This tool has a very simple body to it. There is a metal tab that wiggles when you pull on it. We'll talk about that in just a moment. There is a stop button that locks the tape into place and retracts it back into the casing. Just watch your fingers, you could get whipped. And there's a sexy belt clip on the back to make you look and feel like a real fashionista. Now, my favorite tape measure happens to have a laser pointer on it for accurate measurements along long distances without even having to use the tape at all. Unfortunately, my kids have been using this feature a lot lately as a cat toy for the past few months, and my battery is now dead. I have to go old school to measure everything out by hand. Now, carpenter's measuring tape is typically made of a pliable metal band. This is for durability, rigidity, and resistance to wear and tear. The metal band can withstand rough job site conditions, it maintains its accuracy, and it retracts pretty smoothly. Now, the rigidity of the tape can be a blessing, or in my case, it can be a curse. Now, for starters, you can hold the tape vertically or perpendicularly, and it holds its shape perpendicularly, and it holds its shape pretty well, which is pretty helpful. But if you take it out long enough, it can bend and snap out of place, and that is kind of a bummer. out. Bend and snap. Sorry, I had to put that one in there. It's also tricky to get exact measurements if you're trying to go around corners. It just doesn't bend all that sharply. It's not designed for that. Luckily, I have a hack for that, but you're gonna have to stick around until the end to get that little nugget of info. Let's take a look at that pull tab I mentioned a little bit ago. As you can see, it wiggles a little bit here and there. Now that is a feature, it's not a bug, it's not broken. The pull tab on the carpenter's tape measure wiggles to compensate for its thickness, ensuring accurate measurements when it's hooked on an edge or pressed up against a surface. All right, let's nerd out on some numbers, shall we? You don't need a math degree to make great cuts, but you do need a little bit of patience, some attention to detail, and you do need to recall your primary knowledge of fractions. Now tape measures measure in feet, inches, and fractions of an inch. Those fractions include 1/2 an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and 1/16 of an inch. There are also helpful landmarks on the tape itself to help you identify some measurements faster. There are inch marks. There are black markings to show feet. And there are markings to show where studs are typically spaced out, usually 16 inches and 24 inches. So when you're hanging a shelf or a mirror or anything that requires, or anything heavy that requires you to identify where those studs are along the wall, you just know where these landmarks are on the tape measure, and it can help you predict where those studs are hiding behind the drywall. Now, handling a tape measure can be a bit frustrating and make you look pretty awkward when you aren't used to the personality of the tool. So here are 3 tips to help you look like a pro. So here are 3 tips to help you look like a pro when you're trying to use your measuring tape. All right, for short measurements, you don't have to actually lock the tape measure. Just put your finger underneath the tape to hold it into place. Take your measurement and then let it retract. For vertical measurements, feed the tape upside down, starting from the floor and raising it up to the top of your project. This can take a little bit of practice, but it's easier than trying to measure it the other way around. I have looked like a fool many times doing that. For floor length measurements, feed the tape directly down and push the tape away from you. And always keep your tape nice and tight. Too much slack and the tape's gonna collapse. So maybe you've learned all that you can learn about using this carpenter's tape measure and you're still fumbling around with it. That's all right, I'm not gonna judge. I still do that too. As a matter of fact, unless I am measuring a very large surface like a wall or something, I rarely reach for my yellow tape at all. Truth be told, and more often than not, I reach for a tool that's found in my theater's costume department instead. My seamstress's measuring tape. I know, it is an unorthodox tool for construction, but I don't care. It gets the job done just as accurately, and I don't fumble with this one at all. I simply find my starting point, I tape it into place, and then I mark my measurement directly onto the fabric tape with a pencil, and I transfer it directly onto my project. I didn't even need to read a single number. I also love that I can find the halfway mark on this tape, again, without reading any numbers, by simply folding my tape directly into half, marking the halfway mark, unfolding it, and there you go. Other hacks that I've used in the past while working on set without the aid of a measuring tape is to use painter's tape and a utility knife. Now this is a great hack when you're trying to measure the distance between the hooks on the back of those portraits when you're hanging a picture on your wall. You simply lay the tape from one distance to the next, slice off the edgings, and there you go. You have a perfect template for the measurement that you're looking for. See how easy that was? Now before you go, try these Nerd Herd challenges on your own to practice your measuring skill. Measure household items to the nearest 1/16 inch, use a seamstress's measuring tape on any object, or make a painter's tape template. Share your results on Instagram with the hashtag #NerdHerdChallenge to join the Nerd Herd. That's your kickstart to measuring with precision directly from the Woodshop Nerds Tool Academy for Women. You are ready to tackle DIY with precision. Don't forget to claim your free DIY tool checklist over at thewoodshopnerd.com. I think we did it, folks. See you in the next video, and stay nerdy, my friends.